We read in the parsha about Noach, and the parsha begins, and we know there's nothing which is superfluous in the Torah, and every word, if it's mentioned, it's to communicate whatever it's meant to communicate. The Torah tells us, Elo told us Noach ish tzaddik. Es Elokim yisalach Noach. Within 2 psukim, the Torah mentions Noach's name 3 times. The Torah could have mentioned it once and it would have been sufficient. Sholosh pomim pasuk Noach lomo. Midrash says, why is it mentioned 3 times in the pasuk? Ze'echod mishlosho. Noach is one of the 3 individuals, Shorosh Shlosha Olomos. He had seen 3 worlds. Who are the 3 individuals? Noach, V'Doniel, V'Iyov. Noach, Ro Olam B'Yishuvo. Noach existed pre-flood. He saw the world in a settled state. V'Ro B'Churbono. And he saw the world in a destroyed state. For 12 months, the luminaries didn't function. The world outside of the Teva, the ark, didn't exist. V'Ro B'Yishuvo. After a year past 12 months, he comes out. Nothing exists in the world. He's entering to a new world. So each Noach is to connote each of these periods of time. So the obvious question is, if you read the narrative, Noach lived before the Mabul, during the Great Flood, and post-Great Flood. By mentioning Noach and repeating his name 3 times, what does that add to the narrative? What do we understand differently, something a deeper, a broader understanding by mentioning his name 3 times? Seemingly once would have been sufficient, and just read the story, the narrative as it reads. So evidently, if you have 3 individuals, each one's name is Noach, and we know it's 3 different people. Are we going to say, because they all have the same name, they're the same person, they're 3 different people? What the Torah is revealing to us, that Noach, in terms of his function on the world scene, regarding his avodas Hashem, his impact on existence, before the Great Flood, he was one individual. During the Great Flood, he's the equivalent of another person. And after the Great Flood, he was a 3rd person. It's not he shifted, he's the same person but shifting, and he's doing something else. In terms of what he was meant to be in that particular era, period of time, he took on another persona. Every moment and the way he processed things, he processed them based on what was needed for that particular time in history. So pre-flood, this was the original creation. He had a responsibility to bring all mankind back to do tshuva. Factually, he failed. But he was dealing with a different dimension of existence. So within that, he was one individual. During the Great Flood, literally, he became a zookeeper. And he was dedicated 24 hours a day, and as the Gemara tells us, every species needed a different type of food. And he provided whatever the fodder was for that animal or that bird or that reptile, he provided it. This is for 12 months. And he had to make sure to maintain the species should live. Otherwise, because if there were 2 of a male and a female of non-kosher species, if any of them would die, that species doesn't exist any longer afterwards. That was his responsibility. So the focus was a different focus on to maintain the physicality of existence, that existence should continue afterwards. And afterwards, the world was a different world. The world, he became the new father of mankind. Adam was the original father of mankind. Now Noach, and we know the Gentiles, they're called B'nai Noach. We don't refer to them as B'nai Adam, they're B'nai Noach. Noach takes on a new role in terms of humanity. He is the patriarch of humanity, directing, giving all directives, and it's different humanity. The capacity is not the same capacity. People don't live the years that they lived pre-Great Flood. The dimension of existence is not the same dimension. In that context, he was a 3rd individual. He was 3 different people. Reading the narrative, it's the same person shifting from frame to frame to frame. Here, the Torah is telling us this is his godless, his greatness, that he assumed the responsibility, assuming the identity of whatever he was meant to be at that particular period of time.